evening, everyone. So, guys, if you remember properly, in the previous session, we were trying to cover EC2. In EC2, we have created our Linux instance, right? And that Linux instance where we have created here in the subnet one, it is right. So, if you remember, let me remind you a little bit. Let's go to the console. If you see here, right, this is the one, right, which we have created. Still, it is up and running. That is IBM YTQA Linux 01, right? And if you guys remember now, I told you, right, public IP or I was talking about last time, correct? If you see this one diagram, yeah, see. So types of so now you see the public IP is changed. Yes or no? If you come over here, the last time the IP was different, but this time the IP was changed. But one thing, did you see this one, the private IP? Are you getting my point, guys? What I wanted to say over here?
Yes, sir. One IP was less last time.
That is for the from your subnet. If you go to 1 second, let me explain you. Let me open this VPC in another tab, so it will be easy for you guys to understand. Okay. So if you go to the subnet, so you see in this subnet one IP was less. In which subnet it was less? In subnet one. Yes or no?
Yes,
And
sir.
as per the actual diagram, that is what we have done. Correct? Control Z. So you can see here. So you can see here in subnet one we have deployed one VM, right? And let me copy this one so it will be easy for you to understand, right? And what is the VM name? This one. So this is the VM which we have deployed in subnet 1, and that is what you are seeing, that one IP was less. But what I wanted to show you, that when I was explaining this part, okay, you remember I said the public IP it's going to be changed. There are types of public IP. There will be one elastic IP. The elastic IP it will be going to be your private IP only. So if you come over here, right, you see this is the same IP, even though I have restarted the VM, but it is the same IP. You go and check the last video, you'll understand. But the public IP got changed because it is dynamic. Now you are understanding my point,
Yes, sir.
correct? So there is something also I told you how you are going to monitor your instance and all, right? So networking, how you are going to see, now you can see a traffic, right? Which we won't be able to see last time, right? Because we haven't logged in, correct? If you enlarge this one, now you can see a traffic, right? Correct? Yes or no? Right? So how we can monitor this one through CloudWatch by using flow logs, right? That suppose for your network, so there are different types of monitoring will be there, right? Your network monitoring will be there, your metrics monitoring will be there, your transaction monitoring will be there. So those things we'll see in the next session, guys, that I'll take you in a detail when I'll be explaining you. Once we'll deploy one application on top of this Linux machine, right? But today's session is more about, let's deploy another VM, okay, and that VM in subnet 2, correct? That VM in subnet 2, let's deploy another VM. And instead of, like as I said, this topic is all about EC2, Linux and Windows. So this time we are going to deploy Windows. Understanding my point? Yes or no? Right? So let's create another instance of your Windows machine, right? If you guys are not able to understand, then let me know, okay? And how we can connect to this Windows machine, right? That also I'm going to tell you. But before that, okay, if you go to this instance, guys, let me close this one. See, if you there is a way, I said, if you have to connect to this virtual machine, you need to use MOBA extern. So, guys, what I was telling that in the last session, if you guys remember properly, that if you have to connect to this machine, So since the machine is up and running, because now it's going to, again you need to, because the public IP through which you guys have connected, you need to, that got changed, right? Because the server got rebooted. So again you need to take a new session. Okay, you need to mention, you have to copy the public IP from here, as you can see, right? Yeah, so just copy this public IP, right, and paste it over here, right? And specify the default username. The global username is EC2 hyphen user, right? And then click on advanced setting, right? Click on use private key, where we have already converted the .pem file into .bpk file. Yes or no? Yes or no, guys?
Yes, sir.
So let's see where it is. So Linux pair.ppk file, right? This is the file which we have used last time. Now you can click on OK and you should be able to
Session.
log into the virtual machine, right? Now let me make it little bit bigger for you. Increase. This is just a SSH client, guys. Okay, let me clear this one. And can we rename this one? Can we go over here? Just copy this one. Okay, let's come over here and let's rename this one, right? So this is your machine, yes or no? But this is a global user. If you see here, who am I? So you are a EC2 hyphen user. It's not a root user. Okay. To switch it to root user, you need to use sudo hyphen I. Correct. And to update your repository, what is the command? Yum update hyphen y. And in software
Update
package,
hyphen by.
yes. So in software package management, I have already explained that why and how you have to update your repository and how a yum server has to be configured. So I am not going to tell all those things, right? So this is a process, but there is another process also. If you right click over here, just click on connect, right? So you see SSH client over here, right? So it's given you the steps also how you can connect through open SSH. Open an SSH client, locate your private key, use to launch this instance in Linux. Even you can use .pem file also. Okay, run this command chmod 400 linux keypair .pem. Okay, and connect to your instance using this IP. And you can example is that this ssh hyphen I. This is the also way you can connect to your this Linux machine, guys. Understanding my point? Yes or no? Okay, so this is a assignment for you, that you know already one method through mova extern, it that is also ssh client, and how you can do it with open and sh, means like this ssh client only. You can take another ssh client also, terminus also you can take it through, that also you can try it out. Okay, so you can try it out this way only, that's fine, that's not a issue. Okay, but here let's go back. Right now we are going to launch an instance again in your VPC in your subnet 2, and that is going to be your Windows machine today, right? So let's come over here, just click on launch instance. This time the machine name, instead of Linux, we are going to make it as a Windows. Okay, so let's put it over here. Now see what I wanted to explain over here. So when you join an organization, guys, right? So you are not immediately going to get the project. So either you will be in bench, right? And after some time you will be get tagged to some project, right? Whether it's a healthcare project or a telecom domain project, right? Or it's any sector, correct? So once you get into that project, what is the first thing the client is going to do it for you? Or it's basically your, the employer, the company where you are, that person, they are going to do it for you. And you remember that is from the help desk team only, that is the job of a help desk team, desktop support and all basically. Okay, but they just know how to do it. Okay, but you are trying to understand the entire infrastructure being a cloud engineer. So they are going to give you one Windows machine, guys. See, your laptop, it's basically, and from that Windows machine, you are going to connect to the client. Either it could be any of their tools, okay, through their AWS console. It's just like a jump host. Not understanding? See, you are already in a virtual private cloud, correct? Understanding my point, guys? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now, now here in subnet 2, okay, I am telling we are going to create a Windows machine. From that Windows machine, once you connected through that Windows machine, then only you will be able to work to the client network. Understanding? This is how the connectivity between your client network and your parent company will be there. And this is how they maintain security, guys. Okay, let me create it, then you guys will understand better. Okay, we have done this one. Now, can we here instead of this, can we select a Windows machine? Let's in search type Windows. So here we are going to take 2016 only, right? So I have selected 2016, guys. So this is the configuration which you can see it's a Windows Microsoft Windows Server 2016 base, right? And it's a free tier, right? Now the next thing is I am going to go with T2 micro because I am not going to explain this once again. What is this? Why this hardware and all, which I have already explained in the previous session. Right now here, since we have already a key pair with .pem, right? And that key pair we have converted into .ppk to connect to Linux machine. But by default, it's going to be .pem only. So obviously, it's going to be Windows machine, and that is what I have told in the last session. If you guys remember this one, right? Correct? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
So here now I am going to select the same key pair. Right now in the network settings, we need to make some few changes. Since it's going to be in the same virtual private cloud in your own data center, so let's select the same VPC, right? And the subnet, last time we have taken as a subnet 1. So this time we are going to take it as a subnet 2. Fine, right? So now here, same way we need to enable it, right? And see whether we should go and create another security group or we should go with the existing security group. I said no, because see, it's your network, so we cannot create multiple security group. For Windows, we have different security group. For Linux, we have different security group. No, it's going to be the same security group only. Only the inbound rule we need to change. We need to add for RDP. Like if you remember, I'll show you. Don't worry about that one. That if we have added SSH, right? If you go here and if you click, just go to this services EC2, right? Click on instances, click on this one, then just see where is your security group, guys. It's security, right? Here in security, just click on this security group, right? And last time we have edited this one, right? If you remember, so which one is yours? This one is yours only, the one which we have created for Linux. So just edit inbound. So if you remember, see here, let me delete this one, guys. Okay, so the last time the rule we have added for SSH, correct? So same way you have to add it for, you have to add a rule for RDP, because this is a Windows machine, guys, right? So this we will add it later on. Let me save this one, right? So here we are going with the existing security group. So just choose the same security group. So instead of Linux, you see, I should have mentioned it as a common name like IBM something SG. Okay. So I have just, so you can rename it also. Don't think that okay, for Linux we have to create a separate security group, for Windows we have to create a separate security group. Then again it's going to be a messed up. Why it's going to be a messed up? Because I said this is subnet 1, this is subnet 2, but ultimately there is a subnet association, and your VPC is one VPC, right? It's not in a different virtual private cloud. Your Windows machine is not in a different data center. It is in within the same subnet. Okay, means
Same
only
setup.
correct. Yeah, Vishal,
Yes, sir. This machine is also in the same data center.
correct. This machine is also in the same data center, right? So only the range mean the we are keeping in subnet 1, another one is in subnet 2, right? Now let's come over here. Now let it be 30 GB only. Let it be like this only. Rest all will keep all the same, and let's launch the instance, guys. Let's go to EC2. Since I said like in Windows, sorry, in Linux, we if you have to connect, right? In Linux, if you have to connect, you are using SSH client. Yes or no? Correct. So in Windows, how you are going to connect? So in Windows, if you have to connect to any of Windows machine, then we use remote desktop protocol. Like SSH works on 22, same way we have remote desktop protocol. Okay. So how we are going to connect? But before that, you have to allow that port. Okay. You have to allow that in your inbound rule on your security group. Correct. So for that, let's come over here. Now go to the edit inbound, right? And here you can add a rule of RDP. RDP. Okay. And anywhere IPv4. That's it. Because we are allowing all the traffic. So you can see two permission entries we have made it. Done. Now let's come over here. Let's go to your EC2 dashboard and let's see whether our instance is up and running or not. The one which we have created just now. Right? Still it is initializing. Then we need to wait for it.
Sir, why we are using Window instead of Linux? Because Linux is good machine, sir. So why people are using Windows as is EC2 instance?
That is what, see, still the problem is that the application architecture, right? So, if somebody is using Mac and all, right? So it's overall business operation depends upon Vishal. See, suppose if you are working for a client, for example, I am telling you, you are working for ING Bank, which is a very big Dutch bank, right? In uh, right in Netherlands, or you are working for, I would say, any United Healthcare, right? Healthcare client of USA, very big healthcare. You are working for any of the big clients and all, right? So normally, what they do is that they are not giving. Basically, you are a employer of that particular organization, and your client is that. So for the vendor, okay, they are not giving all the resources which needs to be. Ideally it has to be, because people used to get that Mac OS and all, right? Mac laptop and all to connect to to these data center. Ideally it has to be through the Linux machine only. Ideally it has to be, they should deploy all the servers in Linux machine only. But no, it is still, I don't know. It's because of the cost or something like that. They are doing still doing, because see, even when I was in HCL or in Cognizant also, all service based company has same model. So when you tag to a project, right? So they will create a Windows machine for you as a jump server, and from that jump server only you are able to log into client network. That is how they are maintaining security. So it should be a Linux machine only. I'm not sure why, because I think the laptop what you are getting, it's either a Windows machine only because of that. Okay, and they are not giving any Mac laptops and all, Apple laptops and all, because that will cost more, right, for their inventory. It's mainly logistic and all, because suppose if ideally it has to be all the organizations should give their employee to Mac operating system only, or any of the Linux machine only, to log into their client network. But the problem here is that they are giving very low cost machines, laptops. You see, what once you
So,
join.
so is it this is this is possible that once we are doing this Kubernetes and all the clustering is coming, so EC2 instance with the Linux is simple, but I don't know window because I can't imagine this.
No, no,
I
again,
only heard about
no, try
Linux and
to
all.
understand why I am creating this Windows machine in front of you guys is like how you are going to work in actual environment, in
Okay,
production
sir.
environment. See, this is not, see, this Kubernetes or Docker or Ansible, you are not going to install on a Windows machine in most everywhere. It's just for your understanding then how exactly your real time environment works. Means what environment you are going to get when you are going to a company. Exactly same this like this only.
Okay,
Just
sir.
see this one. Okay, you'll understand. Uh let's yeah. So guys, you can see here now the machine is up and running, right? So you can see there is a public IP for this one and there is a private IP for this one. And this time it is going to be 233, right? Correct. And if you go over
Yes,
here,
sir.
just click on this VPC, click on your VPC, right? And click on this subnet. So this time we have taken it from subnet 2, right? So you can see there is one less IP now here, right? So we have utilized both the subnet for our Linux machine deployment and for our Windows machine deployment or
Windows machine.
launching, correct? So now how you are going to connect to this one? As I said, same way like SSH is a client. So in Windows also we have RDP. So both the way you can do it, but just click on this right click, right? And if you see here RDP client mentioned over here, right? So here you can download this remote desktop file, guys. So, and what is the username password? So, in front of you only, this is the administrator password you are going to get it. You have to username, sorry. The username it's going to be administrator, and from where you are going to get the password, then just click on this get password, right? Upload private key file. Which private key file? The same PEM file. Okay. So just come over here, just click on this Linux VM pair.pem. By default, we have downloaded this one only for, and then we have converted to .ppk to connect to Linux machine. But in this case, by default, we have to use the PEM file only. Okay. So since it's loaded, and let's decrypt over here. So once you decrypt this one, so this is the password which you are going to get. And this is one time password, guys. Okay. This is just a one time password. So just click on this password and just click on this remote desktop file which is downloaded. I have already downloaded it. So now you can go over here, just double click on this one, click on connect. It will ask you to provide the password. Just they say okay, yes. same way every day we used to log into in our environment, guys, for the client. Okay, so this is how they are maintaining security. And so when any of the client, okay, suppose you onboarded to a client, this is the actual process I am telling you. Okay, so same way you are going to get a Windows machine like this, and in this Windows machine, through this Windows machine only, okay, you have to connect to your Kubernetes cluster. You have to connect to your different machines and all, right? Everything you are going to, and whether you are, suppose if you have to connect to your Kubernetes cluster, okay, so the tools which needs to use to connect to your Kubernetes cluster, it has to be installed in this machine. Like suppose OpenSSH is one of the tool through which we connect to Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so see here, same way. Are you able to see this one, right? All the details of that
Yes,
machine.
sir.
So any one of you have experienced this one in your organization?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, sir.
From like my
No,
client is
no,
bank,
no, sir.
so for me also I have to log in like this only, sir. First, like through RDP, I need to. It's a
Correct.
jump server IP
Yes,
because we have two IP. Like one is DR, one is DC. So
correct.
sometimes DC is down, so we are like so login through the DR. That all.
That's
It looks like real.
so this is why I wanted to show you guys. And like now what we need to do is like, and this everything will be done by there will be a helpless team. Okay, you once you raise a request. So what I just wanted to show you from here, how the architect you are being a, see, there are phases, guys. When you work as a L1 support na, you only know about monitoring. Okay, when you work as a L2, you start troubleshooting. When you work as a L3, means you are part of a development. When you work as a L4, means you are an architect. So this is the mind of an architect. This is how this is how a architect thinks. Okay, so it has to be, he, I'm just from a very scratch level, I'm trying to make you understand how exactly and where this machine is deployed. And now it's already in where, in which network. Suppose if I am working for Accenture, okay, or if I am working for HCL, right? So I am already in the HCL network. That is what I told. I have given the name of this VPC is what, IBM something, right? If you guys remember, I have given the name of this VPC is IBM YT QA VPC QA 01, right? Inside this, okay, now from here you have to log into client network. Getting my point? This is how the security they are managing, and this is why it's very difficult to any of the hacker to hack these networks and all. They invest heavy amount of money in the security point of view. And from this machine, who it was, I think Sumit, right? You used to log in, or Tanuj it was, I just missed it. You log into the data
No,
center
sir.
one.
Yes, yes, sir.
Correct. Tanuj, right?
Only me.
Tanuj,
Yes, sir.
right. So same way, guys, you have to log in now if you go for any of the big MNCs, because if it's a service-based company, 100% you have to log in like this. Same way, guys. So Yogesh, you have to. Devi, I'm not sure whether you have login like this and all, but this is the way you need to log into the client network. Okay, to their all the tools, right? Whether it's a
But
DevOps
I
tool,
also explained the same.
correct. So this is the way only, guys. This is the actual way in production environment. And now in next session, what I'll be covering over here, right? So you can see here also the time zone is different over here, right? 4:11 it is, correct? Right? So here we'll add roles and features same way like in Linux machine we have updated our repository, right? And from where we are fetching all the repository from the Red Hat network only. Correct. So here also from Windows, we are going to get all the latest packages to this Windows machine. From where? From Microsoft repository only, right? So those things I'll be explaining you guys in the next session. And in the next session, it's going to be since now you came to know, right, in your VPC, how you have to launch a Linux machine and how you have to launch your Windows machine, and how you can connect to this Linux machine and how you can connect to this Windows machine. Now the next phase is coming. Now on top of this Linux machine, we are going to deploy one static application. On top of this Windows machine, we are going to deploy one static application. And that static application is nothing but these templates only, the websites, right? And it's going to be, and then you need to understand the complete uh, architecture. These things I'll be explaining how to deploy your application on Linux or Windows server. We have created two servers, right? Linux server and Windows server, right? So, and what all things are required to deploy that? It's not only directly you can download this template and you can just copy and paste. No, what all things we need to do to make sure that your application you should be able to reach out from your public network. So these are the topics, like in Windows machine, what all web servers are there, what is application server is there. In Linux, what all web servers are there, application servers are there, what all their paths are there, right? Where we have to deploy that CSS file or a jQuery file, where you will deploy those applications in some path only, some dedicated path will be there, right? There only you have to deploy those application, correct? You cannot deploy anywhere, right? So there is a path, like in Windows machine, there is a dedicated path, right? Like inet pub www root. Under this only you need to deploy your application. So these things, guys, we will be see, and there are so many terminology we need to. So these are the terminology, or these are the things which, and at the same time, so you have deployed your Linux machine, you have deployed your Windows machine. Okay, now how you are going to monitor your Linux machine, correct? How you are going to monitor your Windows machine? Everything comes under here only. Don't worry, it's under your EC2 only. Okay. So again, I'll be explaining you creation of your how there are some roles also which we need to create, right? So and there are different things which I'll explain you. Any doubts, guys?
I have to go through the videos.
This is required because then only you will understand. See, I am just telling you how the entire infrastructure works, how a networking works, how when you create a VM. We have just deployed the server, just VM. It's a just a virtual machine. We have not deployed the application. We have not deployed the application server or web server on top of it. So I'm making you step by step. Okay. Guys, I'm ending up the session here only. Thank you for staying connected with me. Let's connect again for the remaining topics in EC2 only. Okay. For Windows and Linux, how we can deploy the application on top of Linux machine and Windows machine by using web server or a app server. Okay. So just take care of yourself, your loved one. Bye bye and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.
Yes, sir.